To improve your balance long term, you need to be challenging yourself. Let's look at an advanced balance routine I did with one of my clients and give you a little commentary on what was going on. Okay, so you can probably see here that in the actual drill setting, I have a bunch of cones set out in front in what I like to call a slalom. Okay, so I'll put the links down below for those cones if you did want to grab some for yourself. And the slalom is really great because it allows you to really challenge your balance and center of gravity very quickly and in a lot of different ways. So I was starting just doing it kind of forward and backward to begin. This next one is a backward slalom, and this individual is extremely gifted in their balance as an older adult, and she can actually get along on these pretty well. But the slalom in itself is very tough in general, and then especially anytime you do an exercise backward, that is also going to be very, very challenging for yourself as well. So that's exactly why I usually have seniors try to work their balance, try to work their stability when they are going backwards. Okay, that's incredibly important. And as you can see here, we're kind of just getting the framework for the next exercise set up, and we're actually going to do a slalom again, but I'm having her go on her tiptoes. So when you go on your tiptoes like this, it's strengthening your calf muscles, and on top of that, it is also making the balance more difficult because there's less overall base on the ground for you to kind of get balance from. So you're strengthening your ankle muscles, which are incredibly important for balance, and you're also getting it a little bit tougher on the overall base on your balance. She's a go-getter. She's trying to run through this thing faster than I was. Same exact concept, but this time we're going around the slalom with our toes up, okay? Toes up. So this is going to, again, same exact concept. We're working the front of our shin muscles now. So still working kind of that ankle joint around that area, but just getting a little bit different of a balance stimulus for them. Even further into that, now you can see I'm kind of bringing my knees together and out. So we're working the eversion and inversion of our ankles. Exact same concept of the last two. We are trying to work full ankle variation at this point. So now we're strengthening the ankle's ability to be stable on its side. Plus, of course, since we don't normally walk on this position, this is really going to greatly challenge your balance as well. And it's just kind of awkward. And you'll notice that anytime you get into more awkward situations with your balance, the more awkward and tough it's going to be for your balance. So that's kind of one of the big things that I could give you is try to walk and do things in tougher ways than normal. That's going to be incredibly useful in keeping your balance. We're just giving her a little bit of a break here because those were some incredibly tougher exercises. And something else I should note too, when you look at the overall cones on the ground, you probably notice that there is not a lot of space in between them. I ideally would put more space in, but this place I was in wasn't that big. So basically I kind of had them together. So the next exercise I'm showing, we're kind of moving away from the cones. We're doing balance catches, and this one is incredibly useful in improving quickness and helping to reduce the risk of fall. So essentially what you're doing in this position, you are leaning forward, you're kind of feeling yourself out almost as if you are going to fall, and then right before you fall, you want to put your foot forward to catch yourself. So I kind of created this one as a way to challenge your balance in a controlled manner and actually practice falling ultimately in a controlled manner. So the good thing about this one too is that you can really go as far as you're comfortable with. So some individuals who are more advanced, they can get a very large lean before they ultimately tip forward and catch themselves. Sometimes some of the older adults I work with, they're not as comfortable with this exercise. So they'll only do a little bit of a lean forward before actually trying to catch themselves. When you do that exercise, just make sure you're doing equal work on both feet so you get equal leg strength as well as equal balance work. So next, what I'm doing, this is where it gets fun with the slalom. We're creating more of a drastic turn on the slalom. So you see what that does in a second, but when we make a drastic turn on the slalom, that's going to have us basically change our center of gravity more quickly in space. So before that slalom, you can kind of, for a lot of people, they could just go through the flow, but she did it wrong this first time. I'm going to show it again. So we could see here, I'm taking much sharper turns. And when you do that, you will see once you try this out for yourself, your center of gravity will get greatly challenged, and this will really throw you off. I also believe, yeah, I got a ball in this situation too. I'm tossing a ball to her. I can't remember. Yeah, there we go. Boom. So not only is she going around the cones in that drastic turn, she's also catching the ball and flipping around. So when you go back on this one, you'll have to kind of make sure you mirror it the same way. Otherwise, you're going to be cutting it actually and making it easier. Boom, look at that. Yeah, she's very, very advanced senior when it comes to her balance. She's very fit. I think she does a lot of like outdoor activities like hiking and stuff during the summer. So I was kind of honestly thrown for a loop trying to get her some different work. But throwing stuff, having somebody throw something at you like a ball, or if you have a bouncy ball, you can bounce it off the wall and catch it. That's a really great hand-eye coordination drill, which most hand-eye coordination drill can be encompassed with balance, as I just showed you as well. So we're moving the cones back together. And in this variation, I'm having her do I believe a cross leg variation. So I'm having her go around the slalom, but what she's doing, she's basically crossing over her hips the entire way. You can do this without the slalom, right? Oh, see, I actually got it working there. You can do this without the slalom and just practice walking kind of wide steps side to side where you're crossing your legs, just like she's doing. And you will notice that your balance will be greatly challenged. And on top of that too, this takes a lot of hip mobility to be able to get in that position as well. So on both aspects, you're really working yourself. I added the ball in a couple times here. It was getting a little confusing. But you can see here, we're just kind of adding layers on all the exercises. So we start with some basic concepts. And then of course, the more you add into it, the tougher it's going to be. So we started with just the slalom, then we added maybe the ball, then we added the slalom on those drastic turns, then we added the slalom with her kind of going cross-legged. Lots of variations building up on each other. And that's ultimately how you're going to improve your balance too. You can't just do one balance routine forever. You need to, every once in a while, push yourselves and try to do something that's tougher and harder for yourself, okay? So I believe what I'm getting set up for the next one is a shuttle run type exercise. You won't be able to fully see it in the video. I don't think my camera fully got this. But basically, I believe, yeah. So I'm having her go to one of the cones in the setup. So I think I have like 4 or 5 cones set up down at the end. And then she's starting at that first cone, as you can see here. And what she's going to do is go and tap the top of that cone, or just go to the cone, and then she's going to walk back. Yeah, so she's actually grabbing it. This is good. This is good. Grabbing the cone, pulling it up, then bring it back. So the cool thing about this one when you're doing this exercise is that you're working your ability to bend over and pick something up off the ground. So we're working our leg strength, we're working our back strength. When we're doing this one, I'm having her move as quickly as possible. So she's working her agility. And agility and the ability to move quick is incredibly important for improving your overall balance. But when you combine all of those exercises together in this one drill, you can get your heart rate up, so it's going to get you some good cardio. It's going to work your balance when you're bending over and picking up something up. And of course, it's really just going to just challenge you. And you'll realize the more you challenge, the more balance you will get. All right, so I believe we're just doing a little bit of a cool down here. I think I'm just having her stretch here. So we're just doing an active hamstring stretch. So I'm trying to keep those knees straight. Hamstrings are usually pretty weak. Well, they are weak, but usually pretty tight in individuals who are sitting all day. So I'm just having her lean down. We're trying to breathe and hold as she keeps her. Usually I would have people keep your back straight, but in the hamstring stretch itself, I don't really worry about it too much. Just make sure you are breathing very consistently, breathing throughout the movement. Looking good here. This is a long hamstring stretch. I had it working good. When you stand up from doing the hamstring stretch, make sure you breathe to get that blood flow back to your head. Your hammy should feel pretty nice and loose out of this position. And then after that, I believe we're going to do a split stance squat. So I'm taking a big step forward, and then in this position, you're trying to keep your back heel planted directly in the ground. Your front knee is then going to gently push forward, and this is kind of done to stretch out your calf muscles here. So you can see my left leg here. We're trying to stretch the calf out in the back. My right knee is being pushed forward. Ideally, I would have her kind of sit up nice and tall, because the taller you are, the more you're going to be able to get in proper positioning. Also, she's putting her hands on her thighs in this position. You can see I would not recommend that typically. I was kind of being a bad coach here. She worked out really hard though, so I kind of cut some slack on this and just let her do her thing. Of course, since this is a single leg exercise, you want to rinse and repeat on the other leg. That's going to be equally important, because you don't want to have one leg that's super flexible and very mobile, and then the other leg is nice and tight, and that could of course lead to lots of overall imbalances too. And something I do want to say, stretching isn't necessarily important, as in you don't need to do it, but it is very helpful in improving the overall mobility in individuals. So if your mobility is lacking specifically, it might be a good idea to add just a little bit of gentle stretching and mobility routines. But it's not crucial. You don't need to do it, and especially if you already have pretty decent flexibility and mobility, you're probably good to go. A lot of the seniors I work with don't, or have lost it over the years, so that's why we kind of move it to that thing. Like the video if it gave you some good ideas, and subscribe to the channel, as we help individuals of all abilities improve their overall health and knowledge of the gym. Once you're done doing that, I got a few more advanced balance exercises designed for seniors that you might enjoy checking out right here. So go ahead, check that out, and we'll see you next time once your balance is nice and solid.
Tell me you know